Hey guys, it's Mike from SitRep Radio, and we finally got our hands on the recommended specs for the Division 2 to run on PC. First off, last June it was revealed that AMD was going to partner with Ubisoft for the Division 2, and now we're seeing what this really means, as the Division 2 was shown off at CES this week as part of this partnership. Now for us gamers, this means that the game should be properly optimized for AMD hardware, giving it an increase in performance and an overall better gaming experience. But don't worry, if you have an Nvidia or Intel setup, you should have no problems running this game just as good. Before we go any further, I'll state now, none of these are my recommendations. These have come straight from the dev team themselves. As for the hardware requirements, for the bare minimum of 1080p at 30 frames a second, you'll be looking at an FX 6350 or the Intel equivalent CPU, 8GB of RAM, a Radeon R9 270 or a GTX 670. For the recommended 1080p at 60fps, you'll need a Ryzen 5 1500X or the Intel equivalent CPU, 8GB of RAM, an RX 480 or a GTX 970. This is what most people will be aiming for, although I'm sure most of you will be wanting a higher frame rate than the 60fps stated here. For the high settings of 1440p at 60fps, they've recommended a Ryzen 7 1700 or the Intel equivalent CPU, 16GB of RAM, and a Vega 56 or GTX 1070. For the elite gamers, 4K 60fps, they've recommended a Ryzen 7 2700X or the Intel equivalent CPU, 16GB of RAM, a Radeon 7 or a RTX 2080 Ti. Now, without going into the whole AMD versus Intel and Nvidia argument, I'll leave you to decide what you think will be best for you to achieve your own requirements, depending on what frame rate and resolution you are looking to run the game at. But there are a hell of a lot of differences between some of these pieces of hardware to be able to achieve the same, if not similar performances, especially as the Snowdrop engine has the ability to adapt to different gamers' PC setups. So if you are thinking of upgrading your PC build, you should use these recommendations more as a guideline rather than a set-in-stone requirement. There's also been a lot of hardware optimization done to the game, but we don't know if the game has been optimized for both Nvidia GPUs and Intel CPUs as well as AMD built rigs. What is known though is that depending on your PC rig, you will be able to run it on low settings all the way up to an elite 4K build, so chances are you're probably not going to run into any problems running the Division 2 or need to change any of your hardware if your rig could run the first game. Although this doesn't mean you'll get the best overall experience if your PC isn't at least hitting some of the basic recommended requirements. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will be testing different PC setups to find out what the sweet spot is for running this game on a decent budget. As for features, the Division 2 will launch with the following to help you get the best out of the game: 4K support, HDR support, variable refresh rate, support for various monitors, there will be no caps on frame rate or screen resolution, DirectX 12 is once again supported. However, it did cause a lot of issues the first time with the Division 1, so hopefully it will fare a lot better this time round. The Division 2 also features the ability to trade processing between both CPU and GPU, meaning that when the GPU isn't under full use, it will take the load off of the CPU to help deliver a smooth experience to the player. However, we don't know if this is going to be supported by both Nvidia and Intel as well as AMD built rigs. Obviously, these are all the requirements and features for PC. We still don't know what options and features will be available for console. More than likely, we will see certain features return like HDR and 4K support, but we will have to wait for official confirmation from the dev team themselves on anything else. That's all for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you want to hear more news and discussions from myself and the other lads here at SitRep Radio, please make sure to check out our weekly The Division podcast. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.